Hello, my name is Darlene. Welcome to Stand Strong, a fun, educational, inspirational, and motivational show about people overcoming life's obstacles, and these are their stories. Hello, welcome to Stand Strong. I'm your host, Darlene Luff, and I'm really looking forward to sharing our guest's story today. At this time, I would like to bring attention to the slippers that I am wearing in honor of our guest. And if you would, today's show, we're going to be bringing attention to childhood kidney disease. And these are the symbols for childhood kidney awareness. At this time, I am honored and have the privilege of introducing our guest, Miss Danielle House. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us and coming on and sharing your story.
Not a problem.
It's my understanding that when you had your, was it your third child?
Third.
Your third child, yep. That you had complications. Could you explain to our viewers a little bit about Riley and his story?
Sure. When I first found out that I was pregnant with Riley, everything seemed to be okay. I went for the ultrasound, found out that we were having a boy, went for a follow-up ultrasound over at Beverly Hospital, and they referred me to Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital to a neonatal, kind of like a preterm doctor that follows you right along throughout your entire pregnancy if it's high risk. And we went there and they told me that he had kidney problems and we weren't sure as to how far or how in-depth they were going to get. So then they referred me to Boston Children's Hospital to the Advanced Fetal Care Center. So I was followed there throughout the entire rest of my pregnancy.
And at what point in your pregnancy did they find out that there was a problem with the baby?
At first it was around 18 weeks where they noticed some changes, some differences on the original ultrasound, and that's when they started sending me to Boston.
Now, when you said that they noticed changes in your ultrasound, were you sick?
No, I was fine. As far as I knew, my pregnancy was fine. They just noticed that during the ultrasounds, they were noticing that Riley's kidneys were becoming more enlarged than normal. So wow. They were able to do the measurements like they do in a regular ultrasound, and his kidneys were larger than what they were supposed to be.
How often did you have to go into Boston to be followed during your pregnancy?
To go into Beth Israel, I had to go in once a week, and then again, I would have to go to Children's at the Advanced Fetal Care Center once a week.
Wow. Now, did you have a special delivery because of his kidney problems, or was it
well, it
natural?
Wasn't so much a special delivery. He was premature. They had to induce my labor at 35 weeks wow. due to his kidney issues because the amniotic fluid was coming down so much and he didn't have enough to survive on for a full-term pregnancy.
Oh my goodness. Now, he was born C-section?
No, he was born naturally. They just induced my labor. I had already been in preterm labor once, so we knew that once they started the induction that he was going to come pretty quickly.
Wow. Now, once Riley was born, what procedures did they take?
Well, when he was born, he spent only 24 hours in the NICU and he came home with me, and that was completely against what everybody else had thought. Nobody thought that he was going to be out of the NICU, being that he was 5 weeks early and as sick as he was. But he ended up coming home with me. About 2 weeks of testing, they did what's called a VCUG and MAG3. It's basically when they put dye into your kidneys and into your bladder, and they see what the flow is to come out. And they were skeptical about the amount of urine that he was passing. So they, further investigated a little bit more. They kept an eye on it. He was on what's called a prophylactic antibiotic to avoid any kind of infection because of the way his urine flow was. So at 2 weeks old, we went in to have his team, I like to call him, his team, do like a checkup, a newborn checkup on him to see how everything was going, and that's when everything started.
Oh my goodness. As a young mother, you must have been scared. I mean, what was going through your mind when your little baby is going through this? And I mean, did you have a support system?
I had a huge support system. My parents backed me. My husband backed me. As far as how I felt, I was horrified. I didn't know how I was going to take care of a kid as sick as he was going to be, or as what they told me he was going to be. I didn't know how my other children were going to react. I didn't know how I was going to be able to take care of my other children.
Yeah, how many children do you have?
3 total.
You have 3?
Yep.
All boys?
All boys.
Oh, God bless you. And how are they in age?
Well, my oldest is 13. My middle son is 8, and my baby, Riley, just turned 5 in May.
God bless you. Cheers to that. The 13-year-old alone.
Yes.
Wow. Now, when they told you Riley had a surgery at a young age, correct? Could you tell our viewers what exactly they
Sure.
did?
Riley's first surgery happened when he was 2 weeks old, when we went for that kind of newborn checkup with his team. They did some blood work, and they found out that his potassium had gone through the roof at 2 weeks old.
Wow.
I hadn't even made it home before the doctor had called me and said, you need to turn around and bring him back to be admitted. His potassium is so high that we're afraid he's going to have a stroke or something dangerous is going to happen.
Oh, my goodness.
So at 2 weeks old, he was admitted to not ICU, but not a regular floor. He was like a step-down unit, and he had what's called nephrostomy tubes placed in his kidneys. It's just tubing that's placed in his back, in his kidneys, and that's where the urine flow would go.
Oh, my goodness. At 2 weeks old?
At 2 weeks old.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
How long did they do that?
He was there for the first 24 hours, and then they took him to nuclear medicine to do the procedure, I guess you could call it.
And what exactly was that?
That was when they put him under and they put the tubes in his kidneys, and they attempted to do both kidneys at the same time, seeing as both kidneys were compromised. And unfortunately, his left kidney was so bad that they weren't able to do the nephrostomy tube, so they could only do it on the right side. So he came home with a tube and a bag, and
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That must have been horrifying.
It was. It was.
Oh, cheers to you, because you're sitting here and you represent Stand Strong.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my goodness. And cheers to you, Riley, for being so strong and enduring so much at such a young age.
Yeah.
Now, it's my understanding in speaking to you on the phone that Riley had to endure another surgery. How old was he with his second surgery?
His second surgery, it was in September of 2010. He was born in May of 2010. So his second surgery was in September of 2010, and that's when they took him in to do the corrective surgery to try and get the flow from his kidneys to his bladder better.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they had to wait until he was 10 pounds before they could do the surgery, because because of anesthesia. They wanted to make sure that he was big enough and strong enough to be able to handle it.
And how long was his stay in the hospital at that point?
At that point, well, they gave me an estimated stay of 2 to 3 weeks for him. He had PICC lines placed in his chest.
Poor baby.
IVs, medicine, and he ended up coming home, I think, a little bit over a week after his first surgery.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Did you have to do special classes to learn how to take care of him with the tubing?
Well, they kind of bring you in and, tell you this is what's going to be done, and they showed me how to do it. They had nurses that came to my house to make sure everything was okay and everything like that. With the tubes, when he had his second surgery, the tube was removed, so he no longer needed the tube because they were doing the corrective surgery.
I'm going to cheer to that. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So during his second hospital visit, they taught me how to take care of it. They, brought nurses in and everything else like that. But in between the first hospital stay when he had the tubes placed and the second hospital stay, he was in and out of the hospital for IV antibiotics constantly, because he always had bacterial infections due to an outside source being implanted into his body.
Did his body reject it a little? Is that why?
No, it wasn't a rejection. It was more of just a bacterial infection, and because of how bad and how strong the strain of the bacteria was, he had to go in and have IV antibiotics. So for the first close to a year of his life, I lived at Boston Children's Hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in and out all the time.
How were your other children? How did they handle it?
My oldest, who was 8 and 9 around the time, he was a little bit more understanding. My little one, who was, well, my middle son, who was only between 3 and 4, didn't really understand it. He thought he was just having a lot of sleepovers at Mimi's house because I couldn't be the mom that I needed to be for Zachary, my now 8-year-old, and I couldn't be at the hospital at the same time with Riley, who needed me because he was an infant.
Wow.
So, but Zachary was just excited about being with Mimi, and Daniel, my oldest, was, you know, really concerned, and he asked a lot of questions, really inquisitive about what was going on with his baby brother.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I understand you brought some pictures to share with us.
I did.
If you could pull up, when they pull up the photo,
Sure.
could you explain to our viewers what exactly the photos will entail in sharing Riley's story?
Absolutely.
If you could you explain to our viewers what this photo is?
This picture here is a 3D ultrasound that we had when I was still pregnant with Riley.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you can see his nose and his mouth.
Yes,
and,
you can see everything.
And everything.
Like
I knew right away he was going to look like his dad right from that picture. But these were some of the tests that I was having done prenatally before he was born. These were the ways that they found out that he was having kidney issues.
Now, when you said 3D ultrasound, is that the amniocentesis?
Nope. A 3D ultrasound is just a 3-dimensional picture where it kind of does a circle, and you can see it as opposed to the 2-dimensional where it looks like the 2-dimensional ultrasound is just black and white, and you can just see the frame. This one is like you can see the entire picture. You can see his face, you can see his features.
And how far in the pregnancy were you when that was taken?
Oh, I had those all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as soon as they found out that he was having kidney issues, I had them all the time.
Oh, wow. And if you could pull up photo number 2 and tell our viewers what photo number 2 is, what's going on in that?
Oh, this one
look
here,
at that.
Mr. Riley is only 24 hours old in this picture, and he is in the NICU.
Wow.
Yep, and this was one of the times that they had warned me about when I was still pregnant. They said he'll never make it out of the NICU. He'll be in the NICU for a while. They told me not to buy a crib right away, not to buy a car seat right away. So this picture is memorable to me because at 24 hours old, they were doing tests, car seat tests for him to come home with me.
Oh my goodness. Did you actually find a...
Yep, we had to find a preemie car seat. And I have pictures of him that have the receiving blankets rolled around his head and under his legs and everything else like that because he was so small. He was born 5 pounds 3 ounces, but when he came home, he only weighed a little over 4 pounds.
4 pounds?
Yeah, he was like a little Cabbage
Not even a
Patch
potato.
Kid.
Really?
Yeah, he looked like a little Cabbage Patch Kid. So they had to roll all kinds of receiving blankets around him when he came home. But that picture there is just a reminder that he didn't need any kind of intervention. He didn't need anything for his breathing. He fed right away. He kept his temperature up right away. The only thing that he had, that he was jaundiced, so we just had to keep him in the sunlight a little bit longer.
Cheers to Riley. Way to go. He sounds like a little fighter.
He is, definitely.
Oh, my goodness. And since you brought some more pictures, if you could just keep showing the pictures so that she can explain Riley's story. Oh, my gosh.
This picture here is one of my favorites. This is just... We had searched everywhere for the letters to put over his crib when we got the crib. So that
It's so cute.
And this is just a way to kind of show you how small he was. The letters in size were only maybe this big. So when we did them and we put Riley on the blanket, it showed how small he was.
Oh, what a doll.
And he looked, and that's
how old was he in that picture?
Maybe a week.
Oh my goodness.
At most,
so
he was
cute.
a week old.
Could you go to the next photo, please? Oh.
So this picture here is a little bit more sentimental to me. This was his first admittance to the hospital at 2 weeks old.
Before his first surgery?
Before his first surgery.
My
This was
goodness.
pictures that were taken in the emergency room because when you have an infant as small as I had, and doctors had said to come back to the hospital. You have to bring them through the emergency room at Boston Children's. Because the testing can be done quicker in the emergency room as opposed to putting them up on the floor and then doing all the testing. So this here was a picture that I took because you'd never know that he was as sick as he was looking at a picture like that because
adorable.
He's so soundly asleep.
Oh my goodness.
So this was one of the first times that my heart dropped.
Oh, I can imagine. As a mom myself, I can't even imagine what you had to endure. Could you pull up the next photo, please? I love these photos. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, look at him.
So this one is after he had the nephrostomy tubes placed. This was Mommy and Riley time, first thing in the morning. He was wide awake, and you would never tell that he had just had surgery. In this picture.
He has tubes in these pictures? In that picture, he has tubes?
In this picture, yes, he does. He has one tube. He has the tube in his right kidney. And you would never be able to tell that he is, like I said, as sick as he was.
Was his appetite good? He looks like he was a good eater.
The only time he didn't eat was when a bacterial infection had occurred. He would sleep all the time, and it would be really difficult for me to wake him up to feed. But other than that, if he was right on schedule, he ate all the time, and he ate so much. But he was a good eater, and like I said, as long as he wasn't sick, then he was just like having a newborn baby at home. Up every 2 hours to eat, really gassy, had to cuddle with Mom. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And if you would, we're just going to keep showing these photos.
Sure.
Oh, look at him. He's precious.
So this one here, I believe, is right after his second surgery, his major surgery for the corrective surgery that he had on his kidneys.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's how he woke up.
He's so alert.
Yeah, that's how he was all the time. As sick as he was, he didn't cry in pain, ever.
How long did his surgery take?
I think it was 5 hours total.
5 hours?
For the first major surgery, it took 5 hours.
Oh my goodness.
And that was just on one side.
Wow, what an angel.
Yeah.
What an angel. And
He's awesome.
Being a mom is, in my opinion, because I'm a mom too, is one of the most amazing things that I've ever done, and I can imagine it is to you as well.
It's one of the most rewarding things.
Exactly, and to have a special little one.
Yep.
He must be your godsend.
He is awesome.
And he's a fighter.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
He's got a lot of fight in him.
We're going to continue to show the pictures. Could you pull up? Oh my gosh. He's just too cute. It should be illegal.
I know. I know. So this picture here is right before we were discharged from the hospital after his second surgery. You see the blue cap under his shirt. That is his PICC line. That originally he
put it in his neck?
It was in his shoulder.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Originally he was supposed to come home with that, and Riley had other plans. He wiggled it out so much that right before he went home, they said, well, he's so healthy that we're just going to take it out anyways. So this was we were getting ready to be discharged a day or two after this, and he wiggled it out a little bit too much.
So he didn't have to go home with it?
No, he didn't go home with a PICC line or anything.
Good boy, Riley. That's awesome. Now, in the course of everything that you're going to, for our viewers at home that are watching, do you have any advice for someone that might have a child that has gone through something similar?
Sure. Well, first thing I have to say is no matter what, insurance or anything, go to your prenatal appointments. Always, always go. If you're pregnant or you think you're pregnant, make sure you go and all your prenatal appointments. Do not miss them. It doesn't I understand pregnancy it can be difficult, but it's one of the most rewarding things that you can do in your life is to carry a child and bring a life into the world. And without my prenatal appointments, without the doctors that took care of me while I was pregnant, we would never have known how sick Riley actually was going to be. We would never have known that he needed to come early. So my first piece of advice is to make sure you go to all your prenatal appointments. Follow what the doctor says, always, because they went to school for this stuff. They know what to look for. They know signs and symptoms and things like that. So definitely, first and foremost, take care of yourself because you're the incubator.
Now, how old is Riley now?
Riley turned 5 in May.
Right, 5. Congratulations,
Yeah.
Riley.
Yep.
Now, I understand you have a recent picture on you right now.
I do.
If you could hold it up to the
Sure.
camera. This camera, hold it
here?
down so they can see. Can you get that? That is Riley now. Look at that. He looks so healthy, and he doesn't even look like a little boy that had such a hard time.
No, not at all. This is his kindergarten picture.
Wow.
This is his first year in school.
He's so cute, but he does have the little devil in his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I see that.
Oh, yeah, he works
But he's
it.
so full of life.
He
now,
is.
you are very much involved in the Kidney Society and
Sure.
things like that.
Yep.
Is there something that you do on behalf of Riley now?
On behalf of Riley, I've made a kidney walk team for the National Kidney Foundation. I did the walk this year. In previous years, I haven't been able to do that. Riley's been home with me up until this year. Like I said, he had just started kindergarten in September. So this gives me a little bit of an opportunity to get into more things, getting donations up, raising awareness for kidney disease all over, not just childhood kidney disease, but everywhere. There's 26 million Americans right now living with kidney disease.
Wow.
And that's all kinds of kidney disease. Luckily enough for me, my son didn't have to go through dialysis and transplant, but there's people out there that they live with dialysis and they have to wait for a transplant. So I'm a huge, huge advocate for trying to find awareness and raising money for treatments because these people deserve a chance at life.
Now, is Riley still being checked?
Yep, Riley is still followed by Boston Children's Hospital by a urologist, Dr. Joseph Borer, who has been there since he was the doctor who took care of me at the Advanced Fetal Care Center at Boston Children's, and he's followed him right up until now.
How often does he have to go now?
Once every 6 months.
Once every 6?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Now, I understand that you started a team.
I did.
And could you tell our viewers about Riley's team?
Sure. So Riley's team for the National Kidney Foundation, our name is Riley's Rockin' Roadies.
Oh, I like that.
Yep. So this year we did the walk in Boston, and 76,000 people showed up and walked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Absolutely amazing.
Wow.
So the team itself, it's part of NKF, the National Kidney Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do is I do a lot of fundraising. I make posters, and Facebook, social media has been a huge outlet for me. Facebook and Twitter, I get it out there. Emails, like I said, I put posters up in restaurants and stores and garages, so everybody knew that the kidney walk was coming up, and there's always a way to donate. You can always get information off of the National Kidney Foundation's website.
Now, I understand you did bring information. If you could, when
Sure.
she brought, you have a website?
I do, my donation webpage.
When the information comes up for you viewers at home, if you're interested in learning more about Riley's story and possibly donating, there it is, thank you very much, and donating to the cause, it would be amazing. And could you tell me, if you know, what did they raise this year?
I'm not entirely sure. The final numbers haven't really come in because donations are still being taken until January.
So it's an ongoing thing.
So it's an ongoing thing. It's not an actual final number that we have right now because donations, I can still take donations up until January 25th.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's amazing. We would love to have you back. We're getting ready to wrap things up, but
Sure.
it would be an honor to have you back.
Absolutely.
At this time, I'd like to present you with a gift. It is a T-shirt with our Stand Strong logo on it, and I would like to present it to you for being on our show and sharing Riley's story of strength, endurance, and courage.
Thank you so
I want to give
much.
you that and say thank you, and we
Thank
will
you.
definitely have you back because there's so
Absolutely.
much that we didn't get to cover. But thank you for letting us touch base and get Riley's story
Absolutely.
started. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
And for all of you viewers at home, again, if you're interested in learning more about Riley's story and how you can donate to the Kidney Foundation, the website will be brought up. Please check it out. There it is. And check it out, and let's support Riley and many others who have gone through or going through similar situations. Again, thank you so much for joining us and supporting us continuously. It is with much love, much peace and respect. Remember to always stand strong. Till next time.